Guys, what's up? I'm CJ and welcome back to my galaxy. Today we are talking about Reginald Hargreeves from the Umbrella Academy. What is he and why is he on Earth and why does he have a bunch of superpowered children? So from what little background we've seen from Reginald Hargreeves, we have very little information, but we still have a little bit of information here and there about what he's up to, what he's doing, and his motivations. So Reginald Hargreeves seems to be from a planet that is being evacuated. Some sort of apocalyptic event is occurring, and he, in this backstory, this particular flashback, shows him approaching what we assume is his dying wife. This wife seems to have a strong connection to the violin, and she can play it, but so can Reginald Hargreeves. He seems very much in love with this woman, and that's why we assume this is his wife. But as this particular part of the backstory ends, he releases like fireflies, little sparkle things out into the air, which we actually see later on in season 3. In season 3, we actually see one of those like sparkle firefly things approaching who we presume is Ben's mother on the train. She's running around with a boy. She's obviously a teenage girl, and she gets pregnant with Ben. So these little light things are obviously the superpower kids. After this flashback with Reginald and his unnamed wife, we see him on Earth in the early 20th century, which makes this guy super old. By the way, he's got to be over 100 years old by the time we get to 2019, which doesn't seem right exactly. I feel like the Umbrella Academy kids would have realized if their father was over 100 years old. They speak about him like being an old senile man, but they don't speak about him being like super old, like over 100 years old. I'm actually unsure which city they're in the Umbrella Academy. I know that they originally were based in Texas, and then season 2, that's where he is, I think. Dallas, Texas, I think it is. And then Luther also travels somewhere. Is it New York? I've always thought it was New York. Maybe it's California. They say it at some point, but I honestly can't remember and I can't be bothered looking it up. So let me know in the comments down below where the Umbrella Academy is. Further backstory of Reginald Hargreeves is told to us in season 2. So we've fast forwarded from the early 20th century to about the 60s. I think it's 63, where JFK is assassinated, and what they call the Majestic 12, I believe. That's what a quick Google search told me that they were called. Apparently it was a real conspiracy theory that these 12 members and a mystery 13th member or mystery 12th member that in this world is Reginald Hargreeves was actually behind a lot of government operations. In particular, the assassination of JFK, which is something that in the Umbrella Academy universe, we see that Reginald Hargreeves did not agree to and did not want the president assassinated. So he takes off his human mask, which is something that we see for the first time in the series. We had not seen any indications of him not looking human up until this point. He takes off his human mask and reveals this weird alien head that he has. That's what he actually looks like. I don't know how to describe it. Obviously, if you watch the Umbrella Academy, you know what I'm talking about. And then he kills the Majestic 12 for going against his wishes. So we know that he is very malicious and he will kill anyone who gets in his way. The only other time that we see Reginald Hargreeves' true form, or at least a part of it, he's never fully taken off his human suit. That's kind of weird to say, but he never fully takes off his human mask. But in season 3, Reginald Hargreeves takes out his hand, and it's like this essentially long sword and kills Luther with it, which is insane. How do you have an arm that's practically a sword? What does that even mean? What is that? First of all, I'm really curious to see what Reginald Hargreeves actually looks like as a whole, because what alien has a sword for an arm that can just kill someone? I want to know what type of alien he is and why he looks like that. So the question on everyone's minds, what is Reginald Hargreeves? Because he is creepy looking and has a long sword arm that killed Luther very easily, and Luther seemed very confused. Not to mention, it just occurred to me, Luther knows that Reginald Hargreeves, his father, is not actually human now. And we know he should have memories from the past, right? Because he knew he was dead when he reappeared at the end of season 3. So is he going to explain to everyone that their father is not human? That's interesting, first of all. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he knows about this parallel universe and this parallel Hotel Obsidian. So that's another thing that he knows about that everyone else didn't know about. And it's interesting to note because we don't know exactly where his knowledge lies, how much he actually knows, if he's lying to us, or to us as the audience, and therefore his Academy kids. Okay, so right back to what I was saying. What is Reginald Hargreeves? Well, I think I have a pretty solid theory. At least I hope it's a pretty solid theory, and I'm mentioning it because, like always, I would like bragging rights if I'm correct. So I'm sharing it in a public domain on the internet. So for this theory, I have to point out the fact that the moon and the dark side of the moon is mentioned way too much in the series. They mention it with the Majestic 12. At least I think they're called the Majestic 12. Correct me in the comments down below if I'm saying it wrong. The Majestic 12 mentions the dark side of the moon and how Reginald Hargreeves has business on the dark side of the moon. We know later on that the dark side of the moon is holding Reginald's dead and frozen wife's body, whatever the hell. If you've ever watched Miraculous Ladybug and Gabriel Grass's wife, it's kind of that style. Which is this, at least that's what I connect it to when I'm watching it. I'm like, so is she like frozen? Is he holding her dead body? That's because I associated with Miraculous Ladybug. I think that she's already dead, but maybe she's like asleep or something. I don't know. So we as the audience are led to believe that his business with the dark side of the moon is to do with his wife. And the Luther even was up there kind of protecting, in a way, his wife, even though he wasn't really aware of it. Luther was up there for 4 years, and in season 1 he comes back and Victor destroys the moon at the end of season 1 during the apocalypse. And in seasons 2 and 3 they just constantly mention the moon. And it's just like we're led to believe it's the wife, but I feel like we're being misdirected, so we don't know what's actually going on. And I feel like that's on purpose. It's kind of creating the effect that we're also being lied to by Reginald Hargreeves, which I think would be pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure we're being lied to. So great storytelling if I'm right, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Along the lines of Reginald Hargreeves lying to us, we know that Luther is also aware that Reginald Hargreeves and I guess the entirety of the Umbrella Academy kids, because it's to do with 5, that they're all aware that he has some theories to do with time travel. And we hear that a little bit in season 2 when Luther goes and finds his father in the 60s at the original Academy in his house. He's actually talking about time travel, and he's saying kind of a very similar line that he said to 5 at the beginning of the series, when just before 5 goes missing. He says that it's a very dangerous and very complicated thing. Time travel can mess with your mind, etc., etc. He's always saying something about time travel, and yet he seems to not think time travel is a thing, or at least he tells Luther that time travel doesn't actually exist in this scene. That it's kind of just a theory, and that he doesn't actually know anything. I think Reginald Hargreeves does actually know what's going on with time travel, and that it has to do something with the time loop and the grandfather paradox that was going on. And he knows a lot more, and he's aware of what's going on with 5 and the commission, and how we now know that 5 started the commission. And I sincerely believe that Reginald Hargreeves, and I say I sincerely believe, and I definitely know, and I know I'm saying it a lot, but I actually really do believe this theory, that Reginald Hargreeves knows about 5 and the commission. And he is, I don't know, maybe he worked for him, but that isn't really a part of my theory. But maybe it's now occurred to me, maybe he did work for the commission at some point, and that's why he knows about it. But either way, Reginald Hargreeves knows more than he's let on, and it's to do with 5 and the commission. He's simply lying about it because it's going to benefit him in the long run, and it technically kind of has by the end of season 3 that he got his own parallel universe. He restarted the universe for his own self-interest and reviving his beloved wife. So assuming Reginald Hargreeves knows about time travel, how does he know about this time, or like the commission, time travel and whatnot? So assuming Reginald Hargreeves is lying to us as an audience and the Academy kids, how does he know about time travel and possibly the commission and everything that's going on with Hotel Obsidian? And how does he know how to reset the universe? If we take the knowledge we know about how much the moon is talked about in the series, and then we take the idea of time travel and the commission, we understand that Reginald Hargreeves was very likely pulled from somewhere in the universe. Not to mention, I think people point out a lot is that Reginald Hargreeves, in one of the scenes when he's in the early 20th century and first arriving at and first creating his business, he's holding a briefcase, and possibly, and it's a different type of briefcase, but maybe it's an early version of the Commission's briefcase. So, in knowing about the moon and the Commission and how the Commission pulls people from timelines and makes them travel all over the timeline and throughout time, just in general, Reginald Hargreeves could be from literally any point in time at all, from pretty much anywhere. So here's my theory. Reginald Hargreeves is from a dystopian future where an alien race is living on the moon, specifically the dark side of the moon, and eventually there's some sort of apocalyptic event. I read online that there's possibly about a nuclear war that happened and they're all escaping from the moon, the dark side of the moon, and going where, we don't know, maybe just outer space in general. And it's at this point the Commission recruits him and he starts traveling throughout the timeline, and that's why he's on Earth and was able to access that. And in return, he hides his wife on the moon. So thinking about Reginald Hargreeves possibly being from the moon, it leads me to start thinking about, what about these Firefly things that eventually turn into like the pregnancies of the Umbrella Academy and Sparrow Academy kids? Does that mean that Reginald Hargreeves is actually the father of the Umbrella Academy and Sparrow Academy? All these superpowered kids, is he actually the father of all these kids? Did he create these little Firefly things to be able to reverse the timeline? Is Reginald Hargreeves the person who kind of invents time travel itself, and then Five works with Reginald to be able to create the Commission? Maybe. But how did these little light things that turn into the kids get to 1989 if they're from the future? Maybe they're from the past. Maybe they flow between timelines and that they're not held to one timeline. They just follow each other. But do you guys, does that make sense? It makes sense in my mind that they're all in a group and they follow each other and they arrive at a time period and that they can time travel. I'm starting to sound really confusing, but the Umbrella Academy is kind of confusing as well. But if they're actually his kids, that would mean that low-key, every relationship that they've had within the family, their adopted siblings, is all kind of incestuous. Like where we thought Diego and Lila were okay, turns out maybe they're not. So essentially what I'm trying to say is the little balls of lights are the Umbrella Academy kids, and they somehow travel through time or travel through space and land in 1989 on October 1st. It would essentially mean all the superpowered kids are moon people and alien races as well, and they just have ever been told that they are some sort of alien race. And a line I've found very interesting from season 1 is when the handler goes to recruit Five to the Commission. Five asks why they can't prevent the apocalypse from happening, and the handler says, "It's not the end of everything, just the end of something." I believe that this is referring to ending a particular species of alien race, and it's trying to end all the superpowered kids and Reginald Hargreeves, etc. Everyone who's from that specific alien race. They're trying to end that for whatever reason that we would find out in season 4. Okay, so hopefully all of that makes sense. It was a lot of information that I had to try and get out in a very concise way, but I'm very bad at trying to make the ideas in my head make sense. I have some notes to help me out through videos, but hopefully it makes sense. If it didn't, I will clarify in the comments down below. If you guys have any questions, if you guys agree with my theory, please let me know down in the comments. And if you guys have any theories about what Reginald Hargreeves is, also let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'd greatly appreciate if you did subscribe. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but I have been CJ, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.